I'm Jason Epperson. This is RV Miles, and it's time for the latest in RV and camping news. Before we jump into all the news we have in there, is a ton of it this week. First, a quick update about the Canadian Snowbird situation from last week's video. I made a mistake I need to clarify. I said that Canadians are automatically issued the I-94 registration when they cross the border. And that is the case for air and sea travel, but it's not for land crossings. When Canadians intend to stay in the US longer than 30 days, they will now have an extra step at the border or in advance online for $6 if they prefer. You have to do it within a 7-day window, though. The form is real quick. It's essentially just your passport information. There was digital fingerprinting involved, but Customs and Border Protection has since removed that requirement. So just to recap, the rule change wasn't really a rule change. It was just deciding to enforce something that was always on the books. If you're a Canadian citizen coming into the US and you plan to stay here more than 30 days, you just need to do this little extra step now. The I-94 form will be digital. You don't need to carry it around or anything like that. The stickler is really the folks that are already in the US and don't have the I-94 form. You can check online at the website that I linked to last week. I'll put it in the description again this week. And if it isn't there, you do have to go apply again if you're staying here in the States. More in a moment, but first, this episode is sponsored by the folks at RVmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding, where you can get a real mattress for your RV made by a real mattress company that fits all the odd sizes that RV manufacturers make the platforms for beds in. You can get them in different thicknesses, so slides can close over the top of them, or you don't have to hop up on top of a really super tall mattress. Whatever your needs are, you can find them over at rvmattress.com. They have all the different sizes and they have different quality levels too. You can get their base mattress, which is a memory foam. You can get their hybrid mattress, which have springs in them, or you can get their Titan mattress, which is for the bigger boned folks like myself. Their mattresses are toxin free. They have a 120-night sleep trial to make sure that you're happy with them. And they come shipped to you in a box, vacuum sealed from their factory in Arizona, wherever you are. If you head over to rvmattress.com/RVmiles and use the code RVmiles at checkout, you get 30% off, the best deal you'll get. You're not going to find a better price anywhere. rvmattress.com/RVmiles for 30% off with the code RVmiles at checkout. Yosemite National Park will restart reservations for its campgrounds on March 24th. The day after the Trump administration axed over 1,000 National Park Service employees, Yosemite announced a pause on the release of reservations for June and July dates. Yosemite will release campground reservations for Wawona, Ogden Meadow, and Upper Pines for June 15th through July 14th arrivals on March 24th. And for July 15th through August 14th arrivals on March 31st. The reservations will release at 7 a.m. Pacific on recreation.gov. Yosemite is only releasing sites 1 through 124 in the Upper Pines campground, which has 238 sites. A note on the website says the park may release further sites if operational capacity allows. Not sure exactly what that means, but I'm sure it has to do with being short-staffed. And speaking of those fired employees, 2 separate federal judges have ordered the fired probational employees under the Department of the Interior, which includes the National Park Service, reinstated, along with several other federal agencies, including the U.S. Department of Agriculture, who runs the U.S. Forest Service. This came about through lawsuits from folks like the Sierra Club. The judges essentially said the Office of Personnel Management does not have the authority to fire employees, and that must be done at the agency level. National Park Service employees have not been reinstated yet, and the White House has indicated that this may have to go to the Supreme Court. However, after the U.S. Merit Systems Protection Board issued a 45-day stay on the termination of U.S. Department of Agriculture employees, the Forest Service has reinstated all terminated probationary employees and provided each with back pay from the date of termination. The Forest Service had a bigger round of layoffs and were potentially more short-staffed than the National Park Service. So this is really a big deal over there. The department said in a statement that it will work quickly to develop a phased plan to return to duty. And while those plans materialize, all probationary employees will be paid. We've talked about how more seasonal employees have been authorized for both the national parks and national forests. And one of the biggest problems I'm hearing about is shifting the balance from permanent full-time workers to more seasonal workers requires more seasonal housing, which there isn't enough of at some of the more remote parks. There has been a slew of more announcements of park hour reductions at National Park Service sites and campground closures. At Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park, All campgrounds are closed until further notice. They're all normally closed right now anyway. Two of the three campgrounds, though, are not set to have spring openings. Apparently, the South Rim campground may open this spring, but it hasn't been determined. Denali National Park has canceled all of its youth camps for 2025. At Colorado's Curaconte National Recreation Area, 9 of 10 campgrounds are closed until further notice. The only available campsites in the park will be in loops A and D of the Elk Creek campground. At Arches National Park, the Fiery Furnace area is closing to all uses temporarily. This is one of the most popular hikes in the park. There are more closures. I'll link to an article that's attempting to compile them all in the description. And it's not just national parks. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Baltimore District has announced it will close several campgrounds and beaches ahead of the 2025 recreation season due to staffing shortages at Raystown Lake in Pennsylvania, Seven Points, Susquehannock, I hope I'm saying that right, and Nancy's Boat to Shore campgrounds will remain closed until further notice. In Tioga, Pennsylvania, Tompkins Campground, including its swim beach and boat ramp, will remain closed until further notice as well. A member of the Texas House of Representatives has filed a bill to abolish the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department and transfer its functions to other state agencies. The Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, of course, runs all of the state parks. State Representative Pat Curry, who represents Texas House District 56 near Waco, filed the bill on Thursday. The bill would disperse the funds normally given to the agency to others, like the Texas Department of Agriculture and the Texas General Land Office, as well as shift employees to those other offices. The bill states the Department of Public Safety would then take over the duties related to law enforcement, like game wardens, as well as the enforcement of water safety and the regulation of boating vessels. After a lot of back and forth on tariffs, 25% tariffs on imported steel and aluminum have become active, while a blanket 25% tariff has been put off for another month. The American Iron and Steel Institute estimates that last month, just 21% of the steel used in American manufacturing was imported. For instance, most of the steel you find on travel trailers and fifth wheels is in the frame, and the vast majority of the frames are built by Lippert Components, who primarily does use domestic steel, contrary to popular belief. But the U.S. does not produce enough steel to meet the needs of American manufacturing, so there will be at least somewhat of a rise in prices on automobiles and RVs due to these tariffs. Research from Barclays estimates the cost of building a car will increase about $400 per vehicle, surely more for larger trucks and motorhomes. The aluminum tariff is a bigger problem for Ford, whose F-150 and Super Duty pickup trucks are among the most aluminum-intensive vehicles on the market, thanks to a mostly aluminum body. In a news release, the Environmental Protection Agency announced that it intends to reconsider more than a dozen core EPA rules and regulations, including those pertaining to emission standards for vehicles. The release called it the most momentous day in the agency's history.
Today, I'm pleased to make the largest deregulatory announcement in U.S. history. EPA will be reconsidering many suffocating rules that restrict nearly every sector of our economy. Our actions include the Biden administration's deeply flawed Clean Power Plan 2.0, light, medium, and heavy car and truck rules, NESHAPs, and the so-called social cost of carbon. Our actions will lower the cost of living by making it more affordable to purchase a car, heat your home, and operate a business. Jobs will be created, especially in the U.S. auto industry.
This has led to a swath of social media posts and YouTube videos touting that it is now legal to delete the emission systems from diesel trucks, and that soon truck manufacturers will start optioning trucks without diesel emission systems at all. That's not even close to true. Diesel emission systems are designed to reduce harmful pollutants like nitrogen oxides and particulate matter from the diesel engine's exhaust. And besides the mountain of legal challenges this is going to face, they are mandated by law, not by EPA regulations. So lots of people like to remove the diesel emission system from their diesel truck, which can give them a little bit more fuel mileage. It removes the need to use diesel exhaust fluid, and it removes some of these expensive parts that cost a lot of money when they go bad. But Congress would have to repeal laws requiring them, or the judicial system would have to rule the law unconstitutional for diesel emission systems to no longer be required. This is not something that has been legalized in any way, or that the EPA even has the ability to legalize. The folks at Liquefied RV Toilet Treatment have announced that Liquefied is now available in 1,700 Walmart stores nationwide, and for a price lower than other retailers. Walmart stores will stock 32-ounce Liquefied bottles for $19.99. I interviewed Matt Foxcroft and Will Knowles from Liquefied on this week's episode of the RV Miles podcast. The link is in the description if you'd like to check it out. It's over on its own YouTube channel. I hope you go subscribe over there. And the folks at Harvest Hosts have announced that 80 Sun Outdoors resorts have joined their Campground Partners program. Harvest Host members will receive 12% off their stay at participating Sun Outdoors campgrounds. Harvest Host Campground Partners program, formerly known as Campers Card, gives members discounts at over 1,500 campground partners, along with their basic Harvest Host membership and access to the Harvest Host sites. Finally, AAA has released a list of the top planned spring break destinations this year. 4 Florida cities are on the top 10 domestic list: Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and Tampa, along with Atlanta, Honolulu, Anaheim, and Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, and Charlotte. That's it for this week's RV and camping news roundup. Hit the like button if you got something out of this video. Subscribe if you want more like it, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.